Guten Tag, hallo, wie geht's? This is German with Kate Languages. If you have purchased the full lesson, you should have been able to download this PDF that I'm going to be working through with you during this lesson. If you are listening to the free content on my podcast or watching the free video on YouTube and you would like to access the full lesson, then head over to katelanguages.co.uk/courses, and then you click on the pre-recorded lessons tab, and this is the 5th of my German pre-recorded lessons. And today we're going to be looking at two very common and useful and highly irregular verbs, haben and sein. Okay, so haben means to have and sein means to be. So I thought we'd start off literally just looking through the conjugation of each of these verbs. So if you have watched my lesson on regular present tense verbs, you will know the endings for things like spielen, which is like est. I've forgotten because I've just been doing Spanish. I mean, est, t, etc. But yeah, so you can see that these are pretty irregular, or they still follow a couple of the same kind of patterns, but not really. And as I said, these are probably the most common and most useful verbs to know. And of course, that's why they're so irregular. Okay, so I'm going to go through the conjugation of both of them, and then we've got lots of activities on physical descriptions, which I think are a really good way of practicing to be and to have in whatever language you're teaching. This just happens to be the German one because we use haben and sein, we use to be and to have a lot with physical descriptions. Also, wir fangen mit sein an. So, sein, to be. Ich bin, I am, ich bin. Du bist, which is you are, and this is singular you. Again, in my present tense verbs lesson, I do go into a bit more detail about the different forms of you and the different subject pronouns and stuff. So I'm not going to do that as much in this lesson. So, ich bin, du bist, er, sie, es ist, so he, she, it is, er, sie, es ist. Wir sind, we are. Ihr seid, you are, which is plural and informal. Sie sind, they are, sie with a little s, and then sie with a capital S, sind, you are, which is formal, and it can be singular or plural. But like I say, if you listen to my or listen or watch my regular present tense verbs lesson, that was the 4th lesson that I did, even the free sample just gives you a bit more detail about the subject pronouns. Okay, so I'm going to go through sein again. Ich bin, du bist, er, sie, es ist, wir sind, ihr seid, sie sind, and sie sind. So sie with a small s, sie with a capital S. All right, what about haben? So haben, to have. Ich habe is I have. Ich habe. You have, singular, informal is du hast. Du hast. Er, sie, es hat. He, she, it has. Er, sie, es hat. Ich habe, du hast, er, sie, es hat. Wir haben, we have. Ihr habt, which is you have, plural, informal. Sie haben, with a little s, is they have. And sie with a capital S, haben, you have, which is formula, singular, or plural. So as I say, there are some patterns here, and I have to say haben isn't as irregular as sein, which is highly irregular. I mean, how you go from sein to bin and bist and ist, don't know. But you will notice that the wir and the sie forms are the same. The sie as in they and you plural, formal. are the same with both. So wir sind, sie sind, and wir haben, sie haben. And actually the wir and the sie haben are the same as the infinitive, which follows the pattern of regular verbs. So that's quite nice. Ich habe is pretty regular. Du hast, I mean, habst would be perfectly regular, but it might sound a bit weird. Hat again would be habt, but then that's ihr habt. I don't know. Anyway, so you can see there are some patterns. So the do does end in st, the es does end in a t, and I find in my experience of teaching right from the beginning, ist is a really easy one for them to learn because it's so similar to is. It doesn't tend to cause many problems at all. Ihr form, as a teacher you might want to be using this because you're talking to a group of students, and that's the pronoun you would use as for the children to learn. Ihr is almost totally irrelevant, like they really don't need to know it. So ihr seid, ihr habt, not really that useful. But yes, as you can see, they're highly irregular, but there are a few patterns that make it a little bit easier to remember them. I mean, what you really need to do is just to keep practicing, say them over and over again. So I'm going to go through both of them one more time, and then we're going to do some activities to practice. So sein, to be. Ich bin, I am. Du bist, you are. Sie, es ist. He, she, it is. Wir sind, we are. Ihr seid, you are, plural. Sie sind, they are. And sie sind, you are, formal, singular and plural. Haben, to have. Ich habe, I have. Du hast, you have. Sie, es hat. He, she, it has. Wir haben, we have. Ihr habt, you have, plural, informal. Sie haben, they have. Und sie haben, you have, formal, singular and plural. So. Thank you so much for downloading and listening to or watching the free sample of this lesson. Hopefully you've got a good idea of how to conjugate haben and sein now. If you would like to purchase the full lesson, head over to katelanguages.co.uk/courses. And as I said, it's the 5th lesson it's on the pre-recorded lessons tab, and it's the 5th of the German lessons. And yeah, you just have a bit more practice of conjugating the verbs and learning how to describe people, describe hair and eye colour and whether they're tall or short or whatever. If you're perfectly happy with the free content, and that's absolutely fine as well, if you are able to subscribe, rate and review either the podcast or the YouTube video, that's just really helpful for me and for people to kind of just to get it out there, for people to know that these are out there, and there's all this free content out there to help you to start learning new languages. If you are loving my free content and you would like to support me, you can always go to buymeacoffee.com/katelanguages to buy me a coffee, but just be aware that it's £3 for a coffee and the full lesson is £2.75. So if you want to save yourself 25p, then just go ahead and buy the full lesson. Or don't do anything and just enjoy my free podcast and my free YouTube channels. It's just cool. It's absolutely fine. Okay, bis zum nächsten Mal. Tschüss, auf Wiedersehen.